I'll read a poem which, again, is important to me because one of the subjects that I've tried to write about is language and languages. Not always that easy because I'm mostly an English language poet. I do write very occasionally in Irish and occasionally translate into Irish. This poem was written in memory of an aunt of mine who was a nun. And she joined the convent. She wasn't very young. She was in her 20s. And she was immediately shipped to France to be a novice. So she was learning the language of a convent as well as learning French at the same time. And one of the rules in convents at the time was that you were not allowed to say mine about anything. You had to learn to say our shoe, our stocking. And your books were labelled for the use of Sister Anthony because the book didn't actually belong to you. They were Franciscans of a sort. Anyway, she went to the dentist in France and she said, I have a pain in our teeth. J'ai mal à nos dents. And that struck me as a particularly good image of the way in which language interacts with the body. And when I was asked to write a poem about language, I thought I would take this. She had died in the late 80s, and so I was very close to her. She had spent most of her working life in France and Belgium, and when she came back to Ireland quite late in life, she and I would speak French together because she didn't want to lose it. And then, right at the end of her life, one of her sisters became really ill and she got permission to go home and look after her, which was something, of course, that she would never have been allowed when she was a young woman. They were separated very definitively from their family. I should translate, I always do this, J'ai mal à nos dents means I have a pain in our teeth. That's the title. J'étais à moitié saoul, I was half pissed, which comes in when she's describing her experience during the Second World War. Je mangerai les pissenlits par les racines is a vulgar French expression meaning I'll be eating dandelions by the roots, I'll be pushing up daisies, I'll be dead, which she was fond of. And her last letter to me, she describes what she was doing in going home to look after her sister. Une malade a soigner une malade. One sick person looking after another. So I suppose one of the things about this poem is I always wanted to write a macaronic poem, a poem in two languages, ideally Irish and English. I've never really succeeded, but this is one of my attempts to do that. But it's also about the changes in the meaning of words like brother, sister, mother. She missed her own mother very much when she went into the convent. My father, her brother, listened to the news all during World War II, excuse me, with wondering where she was and what was happening to her. J'ai mal à nos dents, in memory of Anna Chuilleanáin, Sister Mary Anthony. The Holy Father gave her leave to return to her father's house at 78 years of age. When young, in the Franciscan house at Calais, she complained to the dentist, I have a pain in our teeth. Her body dissolving out of her first mother, her 5 sisters aching at home. Her brother listened to news 5 times in a morning on Radio Eiléan in Cork as the Germans entered Calais. Her name lay under the surface. He could not see her, working all day with the sisters, stripping the hospital, loading the sick on lorries, while Reverend Mother walked the wards and nourished them with jugs of wine to hold their strength. J'étais à moitié saoul. It was done. They lifted the old sisters onto the pig cart and the young walked out on the road to Dèvres, the wine still buzzing and the plains over their heads. Je mangerai les pissenlits par les racines. A year before she died, she lost her French accent, going home in her habit to care for her sister Nora, une malade à soigner une malade. They handed her back her body, its voices, and its death.